Yeah. So I just hope I'm clear to everyone, right?
Audible.
Yeah, Varman.
Okay, great. So I just changed my computer. So this is working fine. Yeah, we'll just start with a small prayer. In the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, I thank you, Lord Jesus, for making it possible during this year, Lord, to continue with this training program. Thank you, Lord, for your wisdom. Thank you, Lord, for your guidance. Thank you, Lord, for blessing each of us, Lord, in our work, in everything that we do. Lord, we lift up to you the next 1.5 hour, Lord Jesus. Open our minds, open my mind, O Lord, so that I'm able to explain the concepts that can benefit each and every one, O Lord Jesus. Guide us in every step of our way and bless everything that we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Yeah, so I know, as I said earlier, this is one of the concepts that I found very, very useful, very excited actually to teach this concept. Pretty important. A lot of things that I've learned, and I think this has been the most beneficial what I have understood. And I just pray that I'm able to explain this so that you really get it. So because once you get it, a lot of things it can actually change the way you look for leads in your business. So so just to give a background as to focus on this entire training, where we were focusing on the stage one type of a business, which is 0 to 5 crores, and the main and what we need to get right is what and the how of this business, right? So what is the problem that we solve, and how is it that we solve the most effectively that particular problem? So if we are getting this, we invest a lot of time on getting the what and how, and whenever we get this matching, we call the market to the product fit, which is there. When the exact service that you give matches the problem that needs to be solved, right? And then suddenly the business booms. So the key is getting this fit right. And we spend a lot of time, and necessity is about 80% of the time. Businesses that start need to focus on this area of getting the what and the how right. And the goal should be is initially is to acquire those critical mass of qualified customers. We'll go a little more deep into know what is this qualified customers today, and what is the significance of this. So this is the core goal, right? And what we are trying to do for all this, and to achieve that, we say there is this formula, and this is the secret formula which we've been discussing in the last 4 weeks. And this is like the backbone, or it is like the very fundamental principles of the entire business. Is one is know who our customer is. Second is, because we need to know, then we know what are his problems, and then what is the result that that customer is looking forward to. That should be very clear in our mind. And once we are clear that result is something that we will be able to demonstrate, we will be able to give that customer there, then we go and find out where they are, where do they, are they congregated and where they are. And then we need to identify what is that bit that we give it to them, which they will try out our services, right? So this is the broad formula for how we acquire customers. And we put that into the sales funnel, where we are saying is first stage is the lead awareness. And that is where we are till now studied about why it's important to understand who's the customer, getting the ideal customer profile, what is that niche, spending some time to get that clarity around that. Then we did the message to the market match. Now this is about, once we know who this customer is, what is the result he wants, then we are able to explain, or the message that we are able to communicate in a way that he understands that we can solve his problem. And that's last class we spent a lot of time on getting this right. And today is, once you have got this right, today's class will be the concept called the Dream 100, right? And I've explained this Dream 100, a very nice, simple, but very effective concept which is there on the Dream 100 is to, once you know how you can scale up very quickly with the lead generations, that you can get it very fast. So the three core levers, which I mentioned was, and these are the three core things that I have seen where to scale at least your top line. These three have to be very clear. The first is getting that message to market match, right, which is there. And for that to get clear, you need to know who's your customer, you need to know the pain they solve and how you're solving that pain and how you explain. And that has to come very clearly in your message. The second part of it is optimizing, meaning you will never get that entire message first the right time. It is about testing the strategy and then as a combination finding out what message is working, what message is not working. It takes some time. It's an iterative process. So, you do an optimization which is there and you get it. And once you know there is something working, right? What you're communicating is working. It's like, you made a show and you have made a show, a Broadway show or a show that you have made. You have perfected that show, okay? And you have perfected that show by tweaking it, taking feedback, and once that show is really working very well, people are appreciating the show, then you take the show on the street, then you do a roadway, right? Then you go across cities, across countries with the same show, showing it to different audience. And that is the last part, right? When you get these two, when you get the message to market match, where you're communicating, you got your communication strategy very clear, you're able to explain it in a very nice way where people are able to resonate, then we use the Dream 100 strategy to take the show on the road, where you are then trying to get on a network. And then from there, you are able to build on that communication and start getting a flood of leads, right? So which is what we will discuss today on the Dream 100 strategy. Now, before I come to the Dream 100 strategy, there are three core principles which this entire strategy is based out of. So what I thought is I will take you through the three core principles, then you will understand why this Dream 100 strategy works, right? So before we go to the Dream 100, three fundamental principles of the Dream 100 strategy, I will just explain this. So the three fundamental principles, one is the principle of ownership, second, the principle of congregation, and the third is not actually a principle, but it's more on the way it works, right? Throughout history, there are two ways that we approach customer. One is when customers are searching and when they are interested, right? So these are the third part is technically not a principle, but it's more of a behavior, and we'll get into that. So these three understanding is important before we understand how the Dream 100 works. Now, the first foundational principle is the principle of ownership. Now, I have a question, right? Either you can put it on a chat or you can even take out your mic and you can speak. It says that now there are two people. One is earning 50,000 rupees per month and one is earning 10 lakh rupees per month. Now, according to you, who is wealthy?
That income doesn't decide wealth, Valence. It's the net worth.
Correct. So income never decides the wealth, right? Because if the guy is earning 10 lakhs and spending, as rightly said, 10 lakhs, and his lifestyle is like that, and if a person is earning 50,000, but he's spending 40,000, definitely the net worth of the first person is definitely better, right? So wealth is never created from income. Wealth is created from what you own, right? It is never from what you earn. And I think a very important principle to know that ownership is very critical in wealth creation. So our top line may be whatever it is, but if our bottom line is not there, you're not creating a good business. You're not creating a solid business which is there. So it's about ability to always focus on what you own, right? Now, next question I'm asking is, and Mukesh Ambani made this very important statement. He made an important statement to say that data is the new oil. Now, what is the data that he's talking about as new oil? Would you be able to tell? I mean, why is data? So first of all, is all data new oil equal, or is there some specific data that is the new oil? What is the data he talked about? The data is the new oil.
He was speaking about the data that is required for your sector and your business, or which is your customer. That's what is telling the new oil.
Okay, so you are almost there. Still there. So data, what you require for the business, but the last one you said for your customer, or is it that customer data is the oil? Which is it?
The customer data should be the oil.
You're right. So the customer data is the new oil, right? That is the clear, right? The customer base or the customer data is the most precious thing that you typically own today. A lot of times we don't give that value to it, but it is the most which is there. And today, internet companies, even though they are loss making, even though they are completely, on, everything, any ratios you take it, it is all, there is no way that, they are supposed to be there. The only reason that they have high valuation is because of the customer base that they have acquired. That is the only reason investors pay money for, right? Because they understand this principle that the customer data is actually an oil if used well. If you do not use the customer data, then it can never be, right. And it's just data. The ability to get and convert it into oil, that is the key. And so ownership is extremely important of customer data. So the customer data that we have is extremely important. Now, is any customer data valuable? I'll give you 3 scenarios here, right? One is you can get a name list for 10,000 customers for 500 rupees. Second is you can get on a telephone directory thousands of numbers, right? You can get your number. The third is you have a list of customers who know you and potentially can benefit from what you have to offer. Now, which is the valuable list in these 3?
Sorry, come again, Valens.
So the three scenarios I've given, right? One is you have got a list of 10,000 customers. You pay 500 rupees, they'll give you one list to call, cold calling. 500 rupees, they'll give you 10,000 customer phone numbers. That is one scenario, first scenario. Second scenario is, my slides are moving, right?
Yes.
Okay. The second scenario is, I'm written it on the slide. You can get a telephone directory and thousands of phone numbers are there. They are all potentially your customers. Is that valuable? And the third is, you have a customer who you have met, you have seen, you have heard, or you have spoken to, you got on list, and you have gone to an event or whatever it is, and that person was interested in something because he's in that event, because it's something that you can offer also, and because there is there. And then you have a list like that, right? There's the 3 lists that are there. Which is the valuable list?
Third one.
The third one is the valuable list, right? The first one and the second one is actually of no value. They may be customer lists, but they are of actually no value. So the third one is actually potentially the gold, right? Which is there. So the customer data, definitely people who bought from you is definitely one important data which is there. Okay. But it is also people who have responded to your offer, even if it was free. Meaning that you would have given something of free or something of some interest that you have done or whatever it is. Meaning maybe you not have charged, but they have explored what you have to offer. They also become a very important customer base for you, which is a very valuable base that you will create, right? And that is an oil. And the more you use this particular base, okay, which is there. I remember, Dan Kennedy, last time I showed you the video of Dan Kennedy. He's the master of, marketing. And, he had given a very nice case study. So he made it humorous for a difficult period in his life. But then he had given his, the power of the base, of customer data. So he says that, he was divorced 3 times. So he says in the US, whenever you divorce, 50% of whatever wealth that you have, the wife takes, which is there. So he says the first time when he divorced, and typically he says everyone will look at the money in the bank, right? Money in the bank, the assets which is there. That's the way you'll do. So he had negotiated very clearly. He said, okay, the money and all he gave to his wife, right? And the list is what he kept with him. Because, he's been a, marketer all his life. So he had never, as part of the split, never, gave his list away as part of that. So he says that everyone in divorce settlement generally becomes hit very badly financially in the US. But he says within couple of weeks, whatever I lost in my divorce settlement, I was able to get back by just making offers to my existing list itself, right? So he says the power of the list is so much, is that it is a gold mine which is there, and if you treat it well, doesn't matter even if the money that you lose, you can create it very quickly back, right? And that is, the power, even though he gave a very difficult example, but I thought the message hit very strongly with that example, the way he, gave it. So a lot of people don't value that list, and only good marketers understand the importance of a good customer list. Now, if I use the same principle, right, and I'm using this principle more from an online world, but it will be very relevant to an offline world also. And to understand in an online world, so this example is using this principle now coming to leads, which is there. Now, this is another concept that I really like is that now when we call traffic is nothing but leads that come to you, right, which is there. Now, there are leads that can come and we call traffic that you control, meaning you pay money and you will get leads, right? You pay money and you get ads, you get on Facebook and you get Google, you will get leads. Now there is two ways of doing it. Either you pay that money and directly you get leads. Out of those leads you get 100, and then you get, you call them up, only 2 are interested, you do the sale of those 2 and you finish it off, right? So that is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it as saying is that leads come to you and you then try to own that lead, right, which is there. Own that lead, when we say, is that all the 100, there should be a method that even though they are not interested, there has to be a system or something to store that information, because these people have responded for something that you have to offer. They are interested, maybe not now, right? So which is there. So the first one is the traffic that you control is when you pay money and the lead will come. The second is the traffic that you don't control, where you don't pay money, but based on your posting or your blogging, or you do a lot of other marketing branding activities that you do, typically you don't know how the lead will come. Okay, but you keep doing it and automatically leads come, which is there. And the third is the traffic that you own, meaning the main focus is that you have got a list, and whenever you want to do a campaign, you want to do any marketing, the goal should be is that you'll never go to Facebook ad maybe 5 years from now. You will never go and try to do a lot of blogging 5 years from now. If you want to sell something, you have to just go to your email list or your mobile list, and you just make your offer to the 10,000 customers in that list or 20,000 customers in the list, and they directly buy from you, right? You have replaced Facebook, Google, you have replaced branding or website, your other branding related work, because you have created a traffic that you own, which you will use any of your products to launch. Anything that you launch, you will launch to your list, right? And that should be the goal and all internet marketing companies, all good companies, if you see, this is that gold that they look forward to, right? So they will spend a lot of money, they'll get the interested party, but they will never ever discard people who are even, they didn't buy from them. As they showed interest, they will always keep them in that list, and they will keep building that particular list. And that is called the traffic that you own. And that traffic is like that pool of a lake, that they create their own lake, which they will then always. Just a minute. Okay, so that they can market to. So this is the first principle of, when we are looking at leads, we should look at our core focus should be on ownership, because when we do this, then we are not bothered if Facebook ads become expensive, Facebook puts the ads on we shut us down. Whatever you do, business will run, because you have a traffic that you own, right, where you can directly go and communicate. So this is the first principle which is there. And so this is where I say, and the thumb rule is, and this is in dollar terms, right, and I'm sure that will be very relevant even in INR and Indian terms. The thumb rule is, if a list is curated well, meaning you have collected a list where you have got customers who are most of your ideal clients or people who are interested in the service that you have to offer, over a period of time, it is thumb rule is you can earn $1 for every name on that list. For example, if you want to make $5,000 per month, the thumb rule is that you should have 5,000 names on your list. If you want $10,000 per month, you should have 10,000 names on your list. The thumb rule is this, that if you are able to get a good curated list that you have created, your ability and your income level increases to the number of the people on your list, right? So and that is where the customer base becomes the most valuable asset which is there. Now, this is the second principle that I'm coming to, is called the principle of congregation, right? The first one is the principle of ownership, and where we realize that ownership, the entire focus of anything will be is owning that particular lead and creating a list of your potential customers and your existing customers, and a very structured way maintaining them well, right? So that's the first part. The second is principle of congregation. Now, this, if you look at it, for example, right, and everything this happens, so in gold mining, so if you look at gold mining, when it happens, when you're mining gold, when someone is drilling into for gold, if you see, they drill and they keep drilling and they keep drilling until they hit the vein of gold, right? Once they hit a vein of gold, then they know that there is a lot of, so a lot of times they will be drilling, they'll never get gold. But once they hit a vein of gold, it's like gold always chunks together, right? The vein, when you get, it's all clumped together, because once you hit the vein, then you get abundance of gold, which is there. So the key is to find that vein, right? So and anyone who's doing mining of gold, they're very clear to find out where's the vein of gold, right? Because they know once they get the vein, then they know that gold, since by nature congregates together, it clumps together, and it automatically, then you have hit jackpot, right? Then you will automatically be able to get a lot of gold around it. If you see in even the Bible, Matthew chapter 13, verses 44 to 46, very beautifully also explained. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field where a man found and hid it again, right? So when a man he's again finding something and he's found something very valuable, right? Immediately he knows it's so valuable, and the owner of it may not know it is valuable. He goes, he covers it up, goes to the owner, buys that field, sells everything that he has, because he knows, even though he did not see that how much of value is there, he's seen that little value, but he knew he hit jackpot. Why? Because he had this principle of congregation, that he goes and buys the entire field. He goes, sells everything. He's willing to stake everything and buy the entire field. The context is a little different, but I just thought it's very relevant here. To tell the principle is that whenever people, right, and everywhere there is this principle of congregation. All the things that are like-minded, they come together, they stick together, right? And it is a natural way of behavior. And there are a lot of times. So in our example here is, when we know who's our ideal customer, there are a lot of times the similar type of environment or a similar type of places these people meet, right? They meet, they congregate. They will meet, they will congregate, because the birds of the same feather flock together, right? And there's a saying which is there. So there, by nature, there will be some location, there will be some area, there will be some place, there could be some church service, there could be some place where these people who are your ideal customer, if you know the profile, where they meet and they congregate. Your ability is to go and find out that location or that meeting place or that place where they meet, right? Because once you find out that you are there, then you hit jackpot, because all you need to know is there, and then you have to be there, because you've got a chunk of gold which is there, and all you need to do is just make a normal pitch. It's, with their marketing is not needed at all. You just need to be standing there. Automatically your leads will flow in, right? Which is there. If you see, and it's also called about, the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule, which is there. Now, if you look at it, traffic in roads also, even if you look at Bombay, right? 80% of the traffic is on the two roads, Western Express and Eastern Express. If someone has to put a billboard, if they'll be wasting the money if they put the billboard anywhere else. If they want to cover the maximum traffic, it has to be in one of these two expressways. 80% of the traffic they would have got covered, right? Which is there. Like that, when we know where the concentration happens, where the people are concentrating, where these people are moving around, right? Automatically your marketing becomes easy, because you know the locations where you need to focus upon, which is that location that if you spend time to find out where they congregate, where your ideal customers are congregating, then you're putting a focus on those areas of marketing, is automatically helps you to get a flood of leads, very good quality leads, which is there. And before you do this for the principle, you have to ask 3 questions to yourself, right? It is like, and you have to be clear on this, because if you're not clear on this, the principle of congregation does not work. And that is where, we put that formula. And coming back to that same question is, who is your ideal client? Because if that is not clear, everything else is not clear. Because that is like the most basic fundamental thing, is that you should know who your client is. Only when you know who your client is, then only you will know where they will congregate, right? So you will know which is their congregation, where they will congregate. But if you don't know who your client is, then you will never be able to find out this part. Where do they congregate? You will never be able to come to where they will congregate. So you should know who's your target market, especially a little more deeper, like what is the interest, what is the passion, what is the pain. Then you will come to know where are those areas where they generally will be hanging around, right? What is their interest? What is their passion, pains? So you will get an idea of where it is. Where is your target market congregating? Right? So they could be on blogs, it could be on Facebooks, they could be on, physical locations, which is there. It could take some time, but it is worth thinking through this particular thing of your target market, where are they congregating, and always keep testing and seeing, is this congregate? So a business networking works so well is because most of the time, our target market are congregating there, which is there, and that's where business networking. But what I personally seen is, if you are not clear on who is your ideal customer, then our business networking also doesn't help, because we're coming into a network, we don't know who is the ideal customer, we don't know who to network with. But if we know very clearly who is our ideal customer, then we are able to quickly see in our networking sessions also which is that target customer that we can, who we can add value to, right? Which is there. And once we have got into that congregation, right, where the customer is, it's not that the customer immediately will welcome you, will be very happy to see you, because you can, you have something to offer them, right? So that is normal human behavior. Then it is about what is that bait, or what is it that you can offer the customer to move out of that congregation and to have that conversation with you, to move out of that congregation and to test you, right? Those are the next step to think through and see what is it that you have to give, or what is that attractive bait that you have to give them, for them to even get distracted from what they are currently doing and start to give you attention in what you have, because that they will benefit. They don't know that they will benefit from you. And what is the bait that you need to offer them where they move out from that congregation and then they come and try you, right? And there is another principle called commitment and consistency, right? So this is another from a very nice book, which is Psychology of Influence, where he very beautifully says is that human behavior is that once you commit something, okay, we will be always wanting to be consistent with our commitment. For example, let's say we take a bet on something. Till the time we take a bet on it, we are not confident. But once we take a bet on something, our confidence increases very, very substantially on that bet. We are very sure on that bet what we do. Similarly is when someone, let's say you're asking someone to, commit to come to an event. So you just orally you ask them, please come, they will say, okay. But if you just tell them, okay, sir, can you just confirm in writing, that you will be coming. The very act that he just says, yes, I will come, on that writing, if he just says, I will come, is a commitment that he has given, which naturally as a human being will push him forward to that next step. But if you are not able to get him to commit, you will not get that next step. And the lesson is that don't make the commitment very big, okay? Because people don't like big commitments. People are okay with small commitments. So the power is that commitment, it's small or big, has the same influence, because once they commit, they will be consistent with what they committed in. So when if they take a small step of committing, then they will be consistent with that behavior and that small step, and you can keep moving them up the ladder with small steps rather than telling them to take a big step with you, and they will not be comfortable taking that commitment with you. So the key is, when you're setting a bait or you're setting up clients to work with us, is about making it easy for them to commit. But they'll have to get some level of commitment, but it could be a commitment to just go a free consulting for 10 minutes, free consulting for 15 minutes, maybe free consulting for 5 minutes. That 5 minutes could go on for 1 hour. That's a secondary thing. And eventually that only normally happens, right? Because in that 5 minutes discussion, the person sees value, he'll want to keep on listening, and that keeps extending, which is there. But the important thing is getting that first meeting, getting a small commitment, because once you get that first commitment, you got your foot in the door, and that only will keep on accelerating, which is there. And that is the key, which is there. This is the principle of commitment consistency is a very important thing. The third important principle, which is about search versus interest principle, and I found this very fascinating and interesting, especially on digital marketing. So one of the things that when I was studying digital marketing and I've seen a lot of conventional old time businesses which are there, right? Somehow there was this fear of internet missing out, right? Fear of missing out on digital marketing, internet marketing, which is there. And getting this feeling that it's what I mean, it's too, because we don't understand computers, we don't understand the internet, we don't understand the online world. It's something that you're having a mental block to even try it out, right? And most of the time, if you don't understand the principle, you tend to outsource this completely to some youngster who will blow up the money and you'll never get the return what is required. So this principle, which I'm going to explain to you very beautifully, was explained to me when I was, listening to Russell Brunson, how the principle conventional marketing and internet marketing doesn't change, right? The principle is exactly the same. It's never changed. Medium has changed. Only the medium has changed. Principle has not changed. So we'll tell you the history of advertisement. In the 18th century, right? The 18th century, people had a problem. So whenever the people had a problem, they used to search, okay, to solve the problem. So whenever they were searching to solve the problem, then some brilliant marketer identified and said, why can't we create a directory of Yellow Pages, and we will keep all the businesses which are providing which service, we'll put all that in a directory, and we will distribute to people and we'll distribute the directory free to a lot of people, so that whenever the people want to look for something, then they can find out who is in the directory and they take their services, right? And then the entire thing was, the directory is distributed free, but you want to get on the directory, you have to pay a fee for it. So the Yellow Pages directory was a solution that originated in the 18th century for businesses when they were trying to solve this problem of advertising, of when customers are searching for what they want, which is there. Now in the 19th century, there was the TV as a medium got introduced, right? So, and they realized that TV became a concentration place where people were concentration. So whenever people concentrate, marketers, immediately there is this bulb that goes up, and the marketers are saying, when people are concentrating, that's the best place for me to pitch, right? How do I pitch? Because people are watching something very interesting, some content, whatever is there. But how can I get in front of them and distract them or disturb them, not too much, but disturb them and get their attention for the people that who will be relevant to me? And that is where in a TV, there was this commercial in 1954 or 55, the first commercial ad in a TV was introduced. So when people are watching TV in their homes, suddenly there was an ad in the middle, right? And the ad came in, and the ad, just told, and the entire network of, so it was a win-win for both. It was a win-win for the TV producers, the entire part where the ads used to fuel content creation. They used to make great content, get more and more viewers, meaning more and more people congregate. And the marketers found more and more people congregating in one place. The marketers found, okay, how do I get attention from these people who are congregating to take attention? Whoever is relevant to me, I will put an ad and they will respond, right? So conventionally, if you look at it, our entire medium was, our ads which we give are very based on this, right? If they're searching, and similarly, we look at billboards. Billboards are again the same thing. Someone is going and driving on the road. It's taking an interest, right? Everybody is moving in that, they're congregating, right? They're all congregating in one particular area. They're all going through that particular area, and there's a billboard that is put in there. Whoever is in, and it interested, it sees that billboard and then he takes action, because he is able to relate to that. So if you see the conventional advertisements, they're very clearly based on search and based on interest. The search is the Yellow Pages piece. The interest will be the commercials and billboards which are there, right? Now I'm taking into the modern advertisement, digital advertisement. Very, very similar. In the 20th century, people are doing the same search. Now they got a very sophisticated tool called the internet. They go to Google and they search for whatever it is. So Google used the same concept of Yellow Pages and said that I'll get it more sophisticated for people. I'll give it more real time. I will give it there, that when someone is searching for something, your ad will come there and you will be able to get, right? So the Yellow Pages became Google AdWords, okay, where when people are searching, they will be able to see the relevant people, that relevant, business, a relevant part that will come in there. And those were, Google AdWords was one of the things which really shot up in the 20th. In the 21st century became the social media craze. And social media craze is again very clear that people are congregating Like TVs, they used to congregate earlier. Now they congregate through the phone on mobile platforms, on the internet, on their phones, on social media sites, right? So they are on certain Facebooks, they are on Twitter, they are on YouTube. There are huge people congregating in one place. And now the marketers said, okay, now people are congregating in one particular place. How do we get their attention? Very, very same principle what they use in TV, right? You have to disturb them and distract them. Or the billboard, right? You have to disturb and distract. So if you look at it, when you suppose if you are if you are watching Facebook, if you're watching Instagram, and you suddenly you see a banner time. Very, very similarly, when you're sitting in a social media and when you're sitting there, there is a banner that comes in, and that it automatically distracts you, right? So it's an interest-based digital marketing is on social media, which is there on interest base, and there's a search base. Principle same, media method different, more effective. The additional benefit in digital marketing was in the old one, in a TV award, you will never know who's interested. You will never know because there is no mechanism of that person immediately communicating back to you. But digital media, that is one additional advantage that you have, where you can immediately get that customer to interact with you, right? So there is an interaction immediately possible. That's what makes this more powerful. So for the money that you spend, you're able to get an action from the customer and able to quickly measure what action is taken, and you're able to see what is working, not working. That is where it gets better. But the principle is the same, which is there in the old and in the new, right? Which is the internet and there. This becomes only because this becomes more powerful because you have more data on customers. When they see your ad, what did they do? You have more data so that you can refine your ad, you can make it better, you can do a lot of action. And that is where digital marketing becomes more superior than a normal conventional marketing in the current form. Now, putting all these three together, right, and giving you the background of the importance of ownership, the importance of understanding the principle of communication, and giving you this background versus search versus interest, which is there. Now I'm just putting it all this together in this Dream 100 principle, right? Dream 100 principle. So this Dream 100, I'll just give you this Dream 100 principle was first, brought out by Cheat Holmes. Cheat Holmes, I think, is one of the best salesperson's books. There's a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. I would encourage each of you to read that, right? It's written by Cheat Holmes. I think it's one of the classic best sales book ever written. Now, in that book, Cheat Holmes, he's given, he's supposed to get ads for a magazine, which is there. And in the magazine, what the entire magazine struggles because they don't get ads, which is there. So the first year when this work was given to Cheat Holmes, so what Cheat did is he started to go through all the competition magazines that were there. So he went and opened up all the competition magazines, and then he started noticing who all are advertising on the competition magazine. And he saw all the big players who are advertising on the competition magazine, none of them advertising in his magazine. So then he started making notes and saying that these guys are spending, and they are all on all big magazines, and they're spending a lot on advertisements. So he says there's a lot of money being spent by these players. So he then created a Dream 100 list where all these people who spend money on magazine, he just started noting down their names, right? Because they are the big spenders. So he started noting down their names, and he created that list. And he created the 100 people's list of all the people who are spending money on advertising, spend money on advertising. And when he looked at that 100 people's list, he then said that, okay, let me see how many of them are advertising on his magazine. And there was zero, right? No one was advertising on his magazine. So he put a goal and he says, all I need to do, if I have to, the turnover of this particular thing has to improve, I have to just crack this Dream 100. I have to just make these guys advertise in my magazine. And this is the only thing that I'm going to do in the next 3 years. I'm only going to focus on my Dream 100 because this is like that lump of gold type, right? If I get them, one guy is enough to change the game for me. if I get a few of them, completely game changes. It is worth putting my entire effort into this Dream 100, which is there. And so what he does is, he starts going and communicating. So the Dream 100 are guys, I mean, they are really big corporates which are there. And he then has this entire strategy as to how he goes and reaches out. So first is he wants to get attention from them. So what he does is every 15 days, he sends them some lumpy objects. Okay, the lumpy objects could be a torch, it could be a Rubik square, or some gift, not very expensive. Okay, at the same time, something that they cannot ignore. So his principle is that get in front of that person as much as possible so that they get familiar with you, right? Which is there. And that was the only, his goal in the beginning, just to get in front of the person and they should just get familiar with him. So every 15 days through FedEx, he used to send. And the thing is, why lumpy mail, right? He said, so lumpy mail, generally what happens is if it has to go to the CEO, so he was always focusing on the CEO of these, Fortune 500 companies. To crack through the CEO, if you just send a normal mail, the secretary only will thrash it off. It will never go to the CEO. But something comes through FedEx, something comes through, something like something is lumpy, right? They have this natural thing that it is important. They will make sure that this goes to the table of the CEO. So he made sure that all this thing that is there, it gets to the table of the CEO. So he kept sending this to the CEOs, and he somehow realized, and what he used to do is after that, he will call the CEO through the secretary. So he will say, there was a parcel came here for this thing, I'm calling in this regard, right? And most of the time when that something comes, as it is, people are very interested or curious to know what is this, where, what background. And invariably, he's able to get through the CEO, which otherwise he will never be able to get through the CEO. But he kept doing this and conversing with the CEO, and he has to, and just having these conversations and then trying to get a pitch to get an appointment from the CEO. So he kept doing this consistently for every 15 days, 100 people sending, calling, sending, calling, sending, calling, right? Which is there. Not necessarily everybody responds, but he kept doing this for 6 months. Nobody reacted, right? There was no breakthrough. 7th month, he got an appointment with the CEO, right? 7th month. He had an appointment. He went, he met the CEO, he did his pitch, and then there was some traction that happened, because once he got an appointment, then you take it to the next level of appointment, he started moving. Then suddenly there were 2 other breakthrough happened, right? So in the first year, out of the 100, he got 6 people to advertise in his magazines out of the 100. And immediately the sales doubled, which is there. And he kept doing this for 3 years. And for 3 years, sales doubled consistently for 3 years. In the 3rd year, his boss came and told him, Cheat, are you doing anything illegal? Right? I can understand first year you doubled. I can understand second year you doubled. 3rd year you're doubling. That means what? He's always, the base always gets bigger, right? And on the bigger base is doubling. On the 3rd year is again doubling it. He says, no, I'm just getting nervous. Are you doing anything illegal? And that is when, Chet Holmes, he explains this entire concept of Dream 100 to his boss, and he gets it. So he explains the power of this Dream 100, where your marketing, because you're spending only to less people, you can spend more. You can get it more valuable. You can give more value and get that attention, because that person or that can change the game for you very clearly and very easily, right? Which is there. And so this principle is this, that to know which are those top people or top ones, which is your Dream 100. Today, they may not be doing business with you. They may not even know you, right? But if they start doing business with you, if you crack one of them, your business game can change, right? That should be in your Dream 100 list. And then you have to go with the Dream 100. That is the Dream 100 principle. Now, this Dream 100 principle, right? You can directly use this in multiple ways, which is there. Now, there are 2 ways that I have seen this work pretty well, okay, which is there. Now, one work, is in the offline space, okay, which is there. And the way to look at this is, look at yourself in an ecosystem, because we all work not in isolation, right? We work as part of an ecosystem. There is a broader ecosystem that is there. And then you are working as part of that broader ecosystem. Now you need to first clearly know what is that ecosystem that you work, and why that is important. It is important because once you know the ecosystem that you work, you will understand the interdependencies of people where you can collaborate. And in your Dream 100, what is the collaboration? Who is your Dream 100 and why they would want to collaborate with you also? It will be a win-win for both, right? So when you look at it in an ecosystem perspective. So for an example, okay, I'm just giving it offline. Okay, I'm just giving an example, right? Suppose if you're a wedding organizer, okay. Now tell me, if you're a wedding organizer, in that ecosystem, who are the other people who you think is catering to the same client, right? As a wedding organizer, if you can just, you can either type it or you can speak. Who are the other people who would be in the catering to the same client? Am I clear with the question?
Yeah, you're clear. So dressmakers,
Dressmakers, yes.
Photographer, sound guy,
Photographers, yes.
compare,
jewelry,
Sorry?
jewelry,
Jewelry, yes.
pair,
Sorry?
comparing guy, MC.
Comparing, yes.
yeah,
Correct.
venue, hotels,
Venue, hotels, perfect.
photographers,
Yes. So good. So,
matchmakers.
correct. So now, if you look at it, so wedding organizer, right? You have the wedding venue, catering supplier, wedding ring, flowers, photographer, wedding dressmaker, printer, engagement ring. Now, all these guys in ecosystem, there could be large players, there could be small players. Now, this is your Dream 100 list to see that which are those you could crack to have a partnership with, where they would refer you clients, or you could refer them also clients, right? It's a win-win which could be there. So in your ecosystem, which are the ones, if you could have a joint venture and strategy alliances, which are those big players, small players, where the people congregate more, like the bigger players or the people congregate more, and you're able to create that list and then go after that list and say that, okay, this person I need to work with, this person I need to have a joint venture with, right? Because when I get that, automatically the leads that I get from there will be quite significant, right? So when we do this, we will get a very logical partnerships that we can actually work with, which is there. Like for example, right? And I was looking at my own self and my own experience, like in my own ecosystem, which is there. Now, the way I am, positioning myself is what I'm working with small businesses. Now, in small businesses, my core promise is what to help you scale your business. Now, there are multiple ways to help scale a business, right? So it could be very good in sales, right? Just only sales, perfecting in sales, and someone can, really grow their particular business, which is there, and you can grow to a particular level. I chose not to take that path. I chose to take a path of systems, helping people use systems, measurement systems, data systems, and use that path to scale. Now, in the same ecosystem, there could be one person who is damn good in sales, but he will need one person who is also having the same customer, who will also be good in systems, right? Who needs to be in systems. It is very good to collaborate with that person, because both will be win-win, because for his customer also, he gets a much better solution. I also get an audience which is which is already ready-made, and the client also wins. So in these three phases, all three win. The person who collaborates you wins, the client wins, and you also win, right? Which is there. And that is important. And the important part is this trust, right? So when someone is, and that is the key, who to collaborate with, because the big players, when they want to collaborate, and they will also be interested to collaborate. The only fear that the big player will have with an unknown player is that the player can be trusted or not. Can be trusted from delivery, can be trusted on, giving the services which is there, because it is their reputation, because they are exposing their customer to them, right? So that will be that. If we are able to break that barrier and able to build that trust with the big player and say that we are capable enough to deliver, right? And the day that is broken, the game changes. right? Because this collaboration is win-win for all. Nobody loses in this. It's just the question of we upping our game, we knowing that we are really good enough, and we deliver whatever we have promised, right? For us to even have that particular, to be the skin in the game, to be there, we have to also deliver, which is there. And that is very important for this to work. Now, in an online people, right? So if you look at online, there could be a lot of people who are how they congregate, right? The congregation happens. So typically, there are 4 areas where people congregate, okay, in an online world. One is the bloggers. So if you see a lot of people like to, and it's again coming back on human behavior. So a lot of people, so like I am a person who likes to read. So I generally on blogging sites, a lot of sites which are there, I generally on sites which are a lot of content, readable content. So if you want to find me, suppose let's say someone is targeting me as a customer, if you go and trying to search me on a Facebook, you'll never find me on a Facebook, because I'm not a Facebook type of a person. I am a blogging type of person. So I read blogs, right? So there is one set of customers would be only in the blogging list. So there will be a lot of people who congregate who read. So they will be in the blog. So the large bloggers and the bloggers, they have a congregation. They could be having your set of customers who are there, right? So they're bloggers. List owners are, these are professional people who are who keep at least this is very popular in the US. Here the list owners, somehow I've not been exposed to the list owners, but I find list owners here there is that authenticity of that list itself is in doubt. But in the US, they have very clearly interest-based lists which are there, right? So someone who had bought this type of program before, or they bought this type of goods before, you can go very narrow and you can get those lists which are there where you get a very targeted audience. And based on that, then you can start going and promoting to those people. The third is the podcast, right? So there are people who only listen to podcasts. So there could be people as a behavior, and these people are people who generally are on the move. So they are on driving, or they are there. So they love to, they find it more convenient to listen. So they are on. So you'll have a podcaster. Typically, he doesn't blog. He will not be there on social media. And then the last you have is social media people, where they are on Facebook, Instagram. So the key is that you have lumps of people congregating, and the beauty is that there is a high chance that if a person is congregating in one area, he is not on the other area, right? So suppose, let's say you are only doing blogging as your marketing campaign, right? What could happen is that over a period of time, you are targeting only to your customers who are interested to read. But there could be a same customers who are interested in social media. You may not be reaching out to them, or interested who are listening on to podcasts. You may not be reaching to them, right? So to get holistically the customers that are there and where they congregate, these are the broad areas. And then what they do is you typically then take out the list of 25 bloggers, 25 podcasters. The list I've not included here. Ideally 25 list owners and 25 social media influencers. I put 50 social media because social media, quite a lot of people are there. Now, we'll create like in the social media influencers that are there, or the people who have huge followers, or, it could be a Tony Robbins, it could be, there could be like Russell Brunson is another big following that he's got. Now, the people in your niche who are there, who have huge audiences, okay, which are typically could be your audience also, meaning you are also targeting the similar audience, but but they are already listening because they are in that interest, and this your competitor or a person you can collaborate with, they are already congregating there. They are already congregating and they are there, which is like the chunk of gold, right? Which is the vein of gold. They are all there in those places. Now your ability is how do you get past, or you get one of these people to endorse you, right? One of the social media person to one day endorse you and tell that, I know this guy is very good. Why don't you give him a try, right? All that is that one day he sends you that endorsement, game changes. Because of so many followers that he got, all the people will want to try you out, right? So these are the people of the 100. First, you should be very clear in your industry, in your list, who are these 100, right? And that requires some time, effort, going through the list, creating your list, right? Your dream 100. if you have to crack one of these dream 100, the game can change, right? Which is there. And now the key is that once, and this is the way it will work. And I'm coming back from the original part. The purpose, we'll never forget on what we are doing it for. The purpose is that you have this dream 100. The dream 100 has a huge audience, which is your ideal customers congregated together, right? Which is there. You got the congregation solved. Everybody is there together. Now you need to just from this dream 100, get that list of customers or that customers which see that they will want to do business with you also, right? Which is there. And you just move them to your list and you create your list. Now there are two ways of doing this. One is you work your way in. Second is you buy your way in, right? So there are two methods you can do this of how you move the audience from the dream 100 to your own audience, which is there, right? You work your way in to the buy your way in. Now, when you work your way in and buy your way in, so the typically is when you have no money, but you have all the time, which is there, then the strategy is that you work your way in, right? So where you then build a relationship with the influencer or your dream 100%. So you start building. So typically is you start building. So Russell Brunson is one I follow, and he's now one of the fastest growing companies that he's got, on the earth. So he says in the first 10 years of his business, because he had no money, right? The first 10 years of his business, he was only working his way in. All his leads were free. He never spent any money on marketing, right? All he was trying to do is get endorsement from people who already had his clients. I mean, the people who would get their business, all he needed was their endorsements. All he needed was their recommendation, and he used to get them, right? So, so for that, he said that people will not endorse you just like that, right? People first will take some time to endorse you. So how do you build that relationship with people so that they endorse you? It may take you 1 year. So he says Tony Robbins, it took him 10 years, right? But Tony Robbins to endorse him. He says some people you could crack it in 1 year, some you could do 10 years, right? But it's worth the effort. He says the day Tony Robbins endorsed him, he made $10 million that month, right? Which is there. So the key is you go after that person, but with sincerity, which is there. So first is you friend them, follow them, subscribe to them, buy their products. So he says the only way you come to know about them at a more detailed level is what they've got to offer. You have to experience it. You got to offer, you got to follow them, you got to know them at a very detailed level. And he gives a very nice example. He says the same principle a lot of people try, and he says, now that I have reached one stage, which people also, I am in their dream 100 list. So they reach out to me. But he says what is very surprising is they have done all the effort. They go through the gatekeeper, and they somehow manage to get me, right? And a conversation, and they try to pitch to me. But he says what is very sad 90% of the time is that guy has not done his homework, anything about me. He has no clue about me, right? What I do, what is me, nothing. So the conversation abruptly ends. The conversation doesn't move forward at all. And and for me, it is very easy to, break the conversation. But someone who has already, knows me, who's already studied me, is able to have meaningful conversation the first time that he has broken. So he has studied me for a very long time. He knows me in and out, because, and most of these large guys at least are public, you get to know a lot about them, right? Which is there. And then you have meaningful conversations with them. You're able to, have those conversations which are important. So he remembered, he was giving an example about one of the guys who he was mentoring and how, like his dream 100. So he had reached out to this guy and he asked, and when he managed to them, and I think he was requesting him if he can endorse him. So the guy refused. So when he refused, he says, no problem. Then he just in a conversation, he says that, how's your wife doing? Right. And he said that in one of the articles this person was writing, he was a blogger, and in the articles he wrote about, the difficulty. I think his wife was suffering from cancer or something like that, and there was some treatment that was happening. So he made a very passing remark in one of his blogs. So this guy was reading it and he picked this up, and he says that, he then brought that conversation to, just out of concern, ask how is his wife doing, how is the family doing and stuff like that. So this guy then, he had this conversation, and then he put the phone down He says in 5 minutes back, he got a phone call back. He says, I've never done this before. I never endorse anyone, but for you, I will endorse. And he endorsed this guy and this game changed for him. So he says that a lot of time for these Dream 100, right? Everybody wants to help, but they want to be very sure that they're very clear to, is that person worth helping or not? And it is important for you to know that person at a very deeper level. So the homework has to be very clearly done, right? So you study and always look at adding value, right? So the thing is, you see what they can benefit first before we go and ask them to endorse, right? You know, if you can get them leads, you get them leads for their business. You want to give them some free service that you think that their business can benefit from. They may not need the free service, right? But you feel that you're good at something that you can offer value, offer it to them, give it to them. Maybe go through the websites, you see something that is not correct because, that is there, and you can maybe offer them some feedback on, where it can improve, what it can do. You can interview them on your own podcast, you give them some, on a platform, invite them for a chief guest. These are ways that that is make a good impression, right? So you're breaking through and you're making that impression which is there. And when you have built a relationship after a lot of time, right? And when you have, and this could happen in 6 months, this could happen a year. And you do all this when you don't need them to promote you. You are just building a relationship. And then when the trust level is fairly, picked up, is then you can ask if you can promote you to their audience, right? And depending on how you position yourself also. So always position the self as a complementer, not as a competitor, right? Which is there. And that positioning is an important element, which is that, which we will, maybe in subsequent classes, I'll explain that how we can position. And that when we position that you're complementing his business and he feels that you're adding value, and the day they promote you, game changes, right? Which is there. Now, scenario is second. Now they could be doing all this, and they could be, because they are very difficult people to please, they may not endorse at all, right? Which is there. The second way, and especially this in online, it is made very easy, right? You could buy ads based on interest, right? So you could buy ads based on certain interests which are there. So there is a specific type of interested persons. So who are interested in Tony Robbins, in this person, whichever are their followers. And ads now platforms allow you to have on those specific interests also to start sending ads. So you could then target their own audience through your banner ads and then get them to your list, right? Which is there. So you could build give something of value of, one of their people that they are following, saying that you're giving them free CDs of Tony Robbins, or free something about that person that they are following, if they their email ID or mobile number, whatever they're going to say, share with you. So this could be the second form. If the first form doesn't work and we have the money to spend on ads, then we buy our way in, right? Which is there. The key is that when both the paces, the final aim should be is to own the traffic, so that we create these particular leads and we own the traffic, right? So that is the clear. And I think this part is owning this traffic is something that we should never forget, which is there. Now, this is one thing that I really like, and this is given in this Chet Holmes book, which is The Ultimate Sales Machine. He says the goal for this Dream 100 is like moving from, I've never heard of this company, right? So the starting will be like this. What is this company? I never heard of this. So who's this person? I've never heard of them, right? But you keep consistently getting at them, right? To, okay, what is this company I keep hearing about, right? Then to think I have heard of this company, to, okay. Then it comes to, yes, I've heard of this company. And then last is, yes, I do business with that company. This is the stage that it will go through, because these are going to be tough. This is going to be difficult. And this is the process. And the key is, finding out ways from not knowing to keep hearing, getting familiar, and then start, doing business. And the key, and which is very nicely put in that particular, anecdote he gives, he says why this works. He says anyone, okay, especially people who are very successful, they understand the value of persistence, right? It takes determination, it takes big head effort, and someone who is keep coming after you, okay, after so many rejections, right? There is a sense of respect that starts building up towards you. Okay, from disdain, it turns to respect. Why? that this very person is very persevering in what he is trying to do, right? And everyone respects a person in face of resistance, right? Which is what is the key. Because once we move from that zone of, getting dejected and seeing being persistent, respect from that person starts increasing, because that person then starts valuing to say, hey, there is something special about this guy, right? Let's give him a try. And I like this example. I remember in one of those offsite meetings that we had, one of our directors gave us a very beautiful example of what a medical representative, how they crack business in medical representative. So because medical representative can't do marketing, they can't do sales, and they can't advertise. So he says, is this one of these methods which are very clearly taught to a medical rep? So he says that a medical rep has this thing like a dream 100 concept. They want to crack this big hospital, big doctor. They know they get that doctor or that hospital, then automatically business increases. So the medical, automatically most of these big ones have established already distributors, pharma companies, which already are already tied up ones, right? So it's very difficult to break that network of already a tied up distributor. So the way they break this network, and good salespeople do this. So once they have targeted a doctor, they will go every week to the doctor to show their face. They will not ask for business. They will go and knock the door. They will wait the whole day. They will take an appointment. They will show some new launches. Doctor will say no, right? They expect a no. They will do this for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months consistently. Then he says, 6 months later, this doctor will see this fellow. The first time he sees this face, whether he was stranger. Now, after 6 months, this face is so familiar, he becomes like a friend. Okay, so he comes in. And the doctor starts realizing the fellow is giving me business. I mean, I'm giving the fellow business. He comes and sees me once in 6 months. This fellow, I don't give him business. He's here every day, every week. And he's coming and showing his face. So after 6 months, just out of pity, this doctor will say, okay, ek order le lo. And he gives him one order, right? And that order starts with that one. And then that order starts increasing, right? And suddenly he slowly started taking up business from the existing fellow. The existing fellow doesn't even know business started moving, because it starts like a small trial. This guy he's done his homework well, he'll execute it to perfection. And the other guy doesn't even know that one guy is already taking up his business. And suddenly he starts seeing volume drop. And then he comes to know that something is wrong. Then he tries to salvage. By the time, this guy is completely got a foothold on the doctor. And then the guy is trying to salvage, he doesn't manage. And then eventually this new guy takes over the complete business from the doctor, right? And that is the key of, once you identified the dream 100, like going after the pig-head determination. The last thing is why this persistence is key. And when we say dream 100, right? And the other thing was, one of the questions that was asked to him was, it's so difficult, 100 people to go after, convincing 100 people, difficult job, right? And then he gave a very beautiful example. And I was able to relate after that example there. So he says that you don't have to convince 100. You have to convince one, right? Because one, if you convince, you come into the cool club. So he calls it the cool club. And he gives a very nice example. So he says there was this movie where this girl, she's a journalist. So she has to make a story about the cool kids in the school. So this girl has been always intelligent. So she'll be in the chess club. She's been, she'll be all with the nerdy kids. She has never been in the cool kids club. So as part of the thing, she has to go back to school, and she's supposed to go and understand what the cool kids do, in school. So she goes back to school, and then she tries to get into that club of cool kids, right, which is there. And she's not able to break into that club. And she gets stuck. So she goes back into that chess club, which is she's already very familiar with. And she writes, about that. And the editor comes and says, this is crap. I told you, I don't want about nerdy kids. I want about the cool kids. You go and find out about the cool kids. So she says, very difficult to crack into the cool kids club. How do I crack into the cool kids? Now her brother, he is like a disaster in life. So he's there, and he sees his wife, his sister's dilemma. So he says, okay, no, since you're going to school, I also want to come back to school. So he used to be the cool kid in school. So then what he does is he goes back to school to help his sister. So he goes to the school, and then he goes into that into the room where they are having their food in the canteen. And then he does some tantrums, and the way he eats his food, and the way he throws it around, and basically the cool stuff that which the boys do, he does that. And all the cool girls are very impressed with him, right? And suddenly, and this has been his nature from childhood, so he's very easy to get into the cool club. So he goes there, and then what happens, all these girls are drooling over him. He goes to those girls and he tells them, you look at this girl, and he points out to his sister. He says, this girl, I feel very sad. She dumped me, right? I mean, I was there, but she's amazingly cool, but she dumped me. And this girl, suddenly the impression of his sister changes. Then they think, oh, she's she's pretty cool. And then they allow her become a friend, and automatically, suddenly, overnight, she becomes one of the cool girls in town. And then automatically all the other cool girls become her friends, right? The similar logic he gives is into this particular club. When in the Dream 100, if you are able to get endorsed by one guy, your next guy will be very quick. After that, the remaining people will be like a flood, because you have joined the cool club. Because if one guy endorsed you, automatically other fellows will very easily endorse you, right? And very easily will be able to. So the key is getting the first one, because you crack the first one, you crack the club. Then the club becomes very easy. It's only till the first one that you do is important, because once you get that, you keep going in. And again, another example he gives, and he says, and this is like a shocker for me, right? Persistence is better than intelligence. Persistence is better than best of offers, is what I understood when he gave me this example. And this is a real example. So he says, he had, like Russell had, today, I think he's got about 1 million, in his list. 1 million of them are in his list. So what he did is he got approached by one of the guys who was there. Russell was one of his Dream 100, and he told Russell, you know what? You endorse you endorse me to your list. And then I will take them to my squeeze page. There's a page that he will get his followers to come. He will create his own list, and he says, from that list, I will sell your products to them, and you pay me commission. So Russell said, yeah, first of all, you have the audacity to come and ask me this. Right? You are coming to me, telling me to tell my own customers to take my own customers. You will take them to your list. You will create a list from there, and then you will sell my products to them, and then I have to pay you commission for that. Is there something ridiculously wrong? I mean, how do you even expect me to say okay to this? And he says, sorry, I can't do this for you. And he puts the phone down. So he says, okay, no problem. So he forgets about this. And then after about a month, he's suddenly seeing emails about, because they all Dream 100s, right? So there are many other bigger people are following, suddenly promoting this fellow who he refused. And that guy is promoting, and then suddenly he's seeing another one fellow promoting, and a lot of people promoting him. And the very same model which Russell Brunson refused this guy. So then he called this guy and he asked him, "Are yaar, am I missing something, right? In your offer that you gave me, it looked very ridiculous. But what I'm finding doubtful now is what I refused, my contemporaries are doing it for you. Have I missed out anything?" I mean, so that guy laughs and tells Russell, no, you're not missed out anything. That was the fact. See, I had 100 people I had to call, right? And I had this plan in my mind. It may look stupid, but this was my plan. My plan was to call 100 of you guys, and I was to tell. So he says, I called till the 44th of you, right? 44 said no, okay, including you. But I wanted to complete till the 100. 45th, one guy said yes. For whatever reason, he said yes. Then from the 46th, I always kept adding and saying, this guy is promoting me. He says, after that, everybody started promoting me. Right. And that is the reason then he started creating the list. And then he built, I think he made some 750,000 sales from the entire, this stupid idea that he had. Just because he was persistent, he got it. So the beauty, the principle is just being meticulously following it, right? And a lot of times we may just discount this idea. I think the idea is a very powerful thing. If you just reflect and think through it, create your dream 100 and just go after them, right? Because all you need is one. Once you create this one, you can have a breakthrough which can change the game for you completely. So this I've done. So I can take questions. Was it not clear? Yeah, man.
Valence? Is anyone asking or?
No, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Valence, when you're working with a sales or a marketing team, I mean, generally they say, okay, you got to wait for about 2 or 3 months for things to happen.
Correct.
But beyond 3 months, like waiting for 5-6 months is like, it's a lot of patience.
Yeah.
What do you think is the kind of a break-in timeline?
So Martin, so the thing, there are two ways of looking at this, right? And my personal view has been, see, there is one guy who is not worth waiting for. Okay. then it is fine, right? But if that guy is dream 100, is worth, you see, Tata's tell you, Martin, group companies, I will, wait for 6 months, maybe, you just come in the queue, 6 months, we just look at you. It's worth looking, no? Worth waiting for. So I think the judgment, what we have a problem is because we don't know the dream 100, okay, then we find this difficult to wait. But if he is there in the dream 100, we know that one person can change the game.
True.
That is the key.
Got it.
Yeah. Any other question?
Yeah, Valen, sorry, I am actually traveling. But I wanted to just quickly, point out this chat bombs ka thing which you mentioned, no? I read that Ultimate Sales Machine book about 4-5 years back. And what I did was I did some research on the insurance industry, and I picked up very important pain points, persistency and agent terminations, which are very huge. And then I used this principle. I contacted all the CEOs of private insurance companies.
Okay.
I send them a if persistency is like working and finding the solution of the Rubik cube. We have done it like very this thing, and we can provide you. Now I don't remember the right this thing, but I wrote that. I was able to get the contact number of all their PAs from the IRDA website, and I actually sent those Rubik's cube. Then I sent magnifying glass,
Okay.
and of course, but I was not very consistent. But I'll tell you, Valence, that out of all the CEOs, only one directly rejected and said, I am not interested. All the other CEOs, I was able to, they didn't meet me personally, but they kind of bunted me to the, L&D head. And out of about 30 CEOs, about 17 meetings I was able to get,
Wow.
and go and meet them and, talk to them about this particular thing. The only thing is that what I understand today is that I should have been more consistent. And I think this is a problem with most of us. We try out something, it's something very worthwhile, but we really don't, kind of persist. And I think one of the takeaways from today's session is, the persistency. And I think, we need to really be very patient and persistent, and, things will work out.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point out, that it was something that I did, and I think it worked wonders. I would like to start off again on that.
Thanks, Lazarus, for sharing. And the idea also now of this entire training program for me, right, is like I've been telling any idea that I tell, right, it is like I have read this multiple times. I have to be really convinced to even tell you guys, right, that this works. So I'm just saying it's, over a period of time, even if you just stick to what is there, because, it will work. And absolutely, this Dream 100, I have seen this Dream 100 concept talked by every of the top guys. the key for success has been this Dream 100.
I will work on this within 1 week. Valence, I'll send you my Dream 100.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Lazarus.
Valence, we should do an offline kind of a workshop or a boot camp to really brainstorm on all these kind of ideas. It's
Yeah.
brilliant ideas, but till we don't put it together,
Correct,
and
correct.
then once you start putting it together, it becomes a lonely journey.
Correct.
Yeah, I really appreciate, and it's a real big breakthrough we get in our business. While doing that, of course, we get a lot of customers, but that real 100 when you get, I think so that's amazing. So I agree with Martin. We should, when we do something or we have a target, we meet as a workshop and really share our success and pains and failures with all these things.
Correct. So what we'll do now, maybe once this program is over now, maybe one day workshop, just the most important practical one let's do. I mean, let's plan it. But we go through it. I think there are a lot. I think, see, doing the Dream 100 now is, see, there are two parts to it. One is your work has to be there. Okay, so you have to do your own diligence. Workshop will help you refine that work from whatever you have already done. But your Dream 100, listing out, finding out, when you start thinking itself, so the Dream 100, like today, he calls it Dream 600. He's got 600 people that he contacts, right?
Wow.
Which is there. So it will evolve over a period of time, which is there. And like the learnings, like what Lazarus gave, right? And how it worked for him. Those workshops will help. Meaning a person will say how he cracked it, what went, what is there. Those learnings can happen in a workshop. But each of you will have your own different Dream 100s.
Valence.
Yeah, Lloyd.
I have been here for the first time. A lot of amazing stuff you're putting together. I mean, it's not just, slides, because there's a lot that's gone behind it. And the experimentation that you've also done. Well, as Lazarus said, he's done certain things. I have also tried various things, but consistency is very important.
Yeah.
And I think I'll take that from what you just explained today. In fact, I'm just buying that book.
Good.
And I also bought that book, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And I'm making it one of my projects.
Very good. Good.
Though I have not attended your session, but which I now realize that because Saturdays is sometimes a little tricky one after the day starts.
Mhm.
So, but it's a good thing to, put time that you're already investing so much time. I mean, this is the least we could do. Alvin also was with me on the call sometime back, so I got him to join. He's here.
Yeah,
Hi, Alvin.
Hi, Alvin.
You
Yeah.
can share your views as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lloyd, you can look up the past videos.
Actually, the past
Yes,
videos are pulled them down because that there's the same problem that we have now.
I see.
Valence, I've got the videos. I'll put it together for you.
Yeah. I'll need your help. I will
Yeah.
download that, yeah.
One thing that Lloyd does every year without fail, he meets everyone personally and gives a diary. So that
Yeah.
really has an impact on that consistent part of it.
So you're in his Dream 100.
Oh,
Yeah, thanks. Anybody else, any questions, or we can wind up? It's only 12 o'clock.
Valence, if you want, now I have a online site, Vimeo, which is a private site where actually we could, put up this program. And
Yeah, I can put it up
whomsoever you
now.
want, whomsoever you want, we can give the link with the password and all that.
Sure.
And this can be also protected so that it doesn't go to people who
Oh,
are
very good. So now
not get
we can do that. That will be good. So
Yeah.
I've got it all. This time last time I deleted all the videos, but this time I've been storing because Martin has been asking last time. So I did have it. So I thought this time I'll store it.
Yeah. So even I have got all those videos. What I'll do on my site, I'll put it up, next week, and I will share the thing with you.
Sure.
It's on an LMS platform.
Okay.
So basically, we can have assignments, we can have question answers. Also, we can upload the PDF, in one course system. Only thing is, it is an OTP oriented thing. So when somebody wants to access, OTP will come on their email ID and then they have to access.
Which is also
Lazarus-
good, so that it'll be secure at least. I mean, not everybody
Correct,
saying
correct.
it.
It will be secure.
So Lazarus, what you lose in perseverance, you make up in speed.
Sorry?
What you lose in perseverance, you're making up in speed.
Yeah,
I just noticed your offer to Valence.
yeah, because it's there already, boss. And it's gotta build something good. We can definitely.
You got that?
So I have all my training programs uploaded on that. It's a
Yeah.
Vimeo platform and it's very easy to share. So people are there with me last 3 years on training, so they all get access to all videos. But it is secure. So one is that I don't want it to go to wrong people.
Wow.
So Valence is doing a good job. So whatever our bit.
Anybody else? Anything else? We can wind up otherwise.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Have a good day. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Valence. Thank you.